For those who are unfamiliar, this is Steven Crowder. He is a right-wing political commentator, an extremist, and to my knowledge, he's like the biggest conservative political commentator on YouTube, I think. He's got like 5 million subbies or something. Well, there was this whole thing that happened not too long ago where he was offered a $50 million contract by the Daily Wire, by Ben Shapiro's network, to become one of their hosts or whatever. And he, not only did he decline, by the by, while we watch this, we're going to listen to this video. We're going to play some Breath of the Wild while we do. If you've never played this, don't worry about it. It'll just be in the background here. But anyways, so Ben Shapiro offered him $50 million to become a host, and he declined. And he went on this crusade against Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire and claimed that they're trying to take advantage of people by giving them these bad contracts and blah, 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 blah. It was ridiculous. It was just fabricated drama for the sake of, being fabricated drama. Simple as that. Well, the people at the Daily Wire didn't take kindly to that. And if there's one thing that we know about the people at the Daily Wire, it's that a couple of them, at the very least, can be a little underhanded and dirty, like Candace Owens, for example. So, yeah, she came out and said some questionable stuff about him, said she has information about his life, and if he doesn't clamp it about the Daily Wire, she's going to release that information to the world. This was 3 months ago, I think. Everything had died down and disappeared. It was over Christmas or after Christmas, like January 2023, something like that. Everything had died down by and large. And here we are with Steven Crowder addressing it. He felt the need, even though this had completely died down, to explain what happened, to address Candace Owens, supposed extortion or whatever. So let's listen to him explain what the whole thing was with Candace Owens. It's absolutely absurd, and I'm not even sure I believe him. But, okay, let's listen to this. Quick cutaway. We'll get back to it in a second. Just quick reminder. The YouTube algorithm operates off of a few factors. It pushes a video further if you watch it to the very end, if you like the video, and if you subscribe. If possible, I would appreciate it if you guys watched my videos to the very end at least. If you start one, make it to the end. All right, sorry for the interjection. Let's continue.
Hey, we'll be on with your regular programming and Nick DiPaolo in third chair in a little bit, but needed to take a moment here to address some issues out there that are circulating. It's never fun. But, I guess let me be clear here. I have been living with a proverbial boot on my neck for going on years now. Since 2021, I've been living through...
Okay, we're going to get to it in a sec. It's about his divorce. I'm not convinced that's it. But he also, video surfaced of him saying that he was bi at one point in his life. And when a conservative says that they're bi, what it really means is that they're gay and they don't want to come out and admit that they're gay, usually. When a socially conservative, extremist kind of person who can't handle the idea that they're gay comes out and says that they're gay, it's usually a little bit deeper than that. So I suspect that he's lying even about this. I don't know what it is exactly. Maybe it's that he is gay. Maybe it's that he's getting divorced because he's gay. I mean, who knows? Who knows, right? I just don't believe his story, but let's keep listening here.
On years now. Since 2021, I've been living through what has increasingly been a horrendous divorce. Now, let me say on the outset, to be clear, there is no infidelity, any kind of physical abuse at all on either side. And no, this was not my choice. My then wife decided that she didn't want to be married anymore.
Okay, well, that's how it works, right?
And in the state of Texas, that is completely permitted.
Okay. It sounds like he's opposed to the fact that people can make decisions for their own lives. That's completely permitted, he says. Yeah, obviously, people can make choices for their own lives if they want.
It's been the most heartbreaking experience of my life, what I consider to be my deepest personal failure. And just so you know, my opinions on parenting and families have not changed.
Well, it is relevant that he cares about like the views on children and parents and all that other junk, because this would be a deeply hypocritical situation if it was his choice, because this is like all he talks about is families and parents and single parent households and stuff like that.
I've always believed that children need a mom and a dad, that divorce is horrible, and I still believe that children need a mom and a dad and that divorce is horrible. But in today's legal system, my beliefs don't matter.
Wow, dude. My beliefs don't matter, he says. So he's basically advocating for forcing his wife to stay with him because it's his religious belief. Like, wives should not be allowed to leave their husbands under any circumstances without the husband's permission, because that's just what he believes. That's how it is. That is psychotic. And by the way, this type of twisting around the talking points, twisting around the narrative, it's called Darvo. What is it? What's Darvo stand for now? I'm trying to remember. Oh, it's deny. I remembered it before it even popped up. Deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender, or reverse victim order, depending on whatever. Anyways, the idea is actually implemented by the KKK all the time. It's been implemented by the KKK for like decades and decades and decades. Pretend that you are the mistreated one, the persecuted one, even though you are actually the one trying to violate people's rights. Okay, so we live in a society where men and women are equals and free to make choices of their own accord. If Steven Crowder's wife wants to divorce him, she's perfectly legally free to do so. But Steven Crowder doesn't like that. So he's going to Darvo his wife, flip it around, and make her the bad guy. He's going to claim that his beliefs are being violated. His religious rights are being taken away from him because he's not allowed to oppress somebody else. Like I said, the KKK has been doing this for years. When black people got the right to go to the same school as white kids, the KKK said, poor white kids are losing their ability to, live their life according to their beliefs. Their religious beliefs are being violated because their religious beliefs are that black kids should not be in the same room as them. Or these white kids are not being allowed to express their religious beliefs because schools have banned teachers from leading students in prayer. And that is a violation of these kids' religious rights because they want to pray with their teacher, ignoring the fact that it's actually the other people in the equation that are having their rights taken away. That's very intentional. And that is exactly what Steven Crowder is doing here. These are KKK talking points and strategies. The KKK has been doing this exact thing for years, for decades. Hell, centuries? Maybe. So anyways, Steven Crowder is super upset that his wife is allowed to make decisions for herself because he's upset that she is a free agent because he isn't allowed to control her anymore. That's what he's saying right now. Seriously. Doesn't get clearer than this.
Dad, that divorce is horrible, and I still believe that children need a mom and a dad and that divorce is horrible. But in today's legal system, my beliefs don't matter. In Texas, divorce is permitted when one party wants it, period. So for well over a year, in the best interest as well as physical safety of my children, we've decided to keep this issue private and to resolve it privately with the appropriate attorneys, what have you, legal jargon. And all this, one thing I want to be really clear about is certain. True north here is that my children are blameless, completely without fault, and so we decided to resolve.
Did anybody accuse the children of it being at fault? Aren't they like a year old at most? I mean, his wife just had twins, right? Why did he bring the kids into this at all? This is weird and confusing.
Children are blameless, completely without fault, and so we decided to resolve these issues privately, as it's in their best interests, both emotionally and physically.
He's using them as a shield, is what he's doing. He says, if you dig into my divorce at all, then you're hurting my children, and there's your reason not to do it. So this is going to be relevant in a second. Candace Owens came out and said, there's something questionable happening right now, something shady going on, right? And she said that she would reveal it soon if he, continued his crusade against the Daily Wire or whatever. And he's saying, well, here's what it is. It's a divorce, and my kids are blameless, okay? Don't blame my kids for this. You can't blame them. Nobody even considered blaming your kids. This is the clearest example of using kids as a shield that I think I've ever seen.
To do so. Now, the other issue is, and this is something that I've kept private for likely far too long, many other people knew about this behind the scenes. Some, not all, but some of them in positions of power, influence, leverage, knew of this. They also knew that the safety of my children included keeping it private. So if...
how? I mean, is their safety, compromised now that you've come out and released this video? In what way was their safety in danger if the public knew that you were going through a divorce? What are you even talking about? This is nonsense. Either their safety was never in danger, or it's in danger now, right? He's using his kids as a shield. This is dirty, and people fell for this.
If you're familiar with the idea of extortion, then you know the feeling well. Now, some of these threats were so thinly veiled that I'm frankly surprised you didn't all guess immediately.
Okay, yeah. So he's talking about Candace Owens right now. Like I said in the beginning of this, the Daily Wire offered him $50 million to be a host there, and he turned on them and, attacked them for no reason. He didn't even have to do that. He could just said, no, I'm good. And his complaints about, contracts and taking advantage of people, this is all fabricated. This is a standard boilerplate contract that he was offered by the Daily Wire. He was not, being taken advantage of or whatever by the Daily Wire. That's just garbage. And Candace Owens came out, a member of the Daily Wire, complained to him and said, you know what? I'm going to reveal your dirty secrets if you don't, back off the Daily Wire. Now, is that dirty? Oh, yeah, definitely. Candace Owens is about as dirty as it gets in her tactics. I don't condone that. But that's not extortion necessarily. I don't know. I mean, look, you roll around in the mud with pigs, you're going to get muddy, right? That's the saying. I guess it is extortion, or I guess the technical definition probably doesn't meet extortion or blackmail or whatever, but it was dirty at the very least, right? But if you roll around with pigs, you're going to get dirty.
Stephen has a lot going on, I guess is the best way to say it. He has a lot going on, and that should be clear because people don't do stuff like this if there's not a lot going on in their lives. I would like to implore my audience and everybody that isn't paying attention to this situation not to condemn him, but to pray for him. Sometimes people need a prayer. Sometimes people need a scripture. You know, Stephen purports to be a Christian. I am unsure at this moment if it is my place to say more than that. You know, maybe if I feel in further defense, some things should be said, or maybe if I feel that the public has a right to understand certain circumstances.
Oh, my children.
So basically, she was saying, if you don't clamp it, then I'm going to reveal secrets about you. And he claims that that secret is he's getting divorced. And he kept it quiet for his kids' safety. Come on. First of all, I don't believe that it's a divorce, or there's more to this story. There's more to this. And second, what does your kids' safety have to do with any of this? Are they safe now? Are they not safe now? It's just absurd. Come on.
don't have a right to privacy. Now, some other issues have been, or I should say, inferences have been more pernicious behind the scenes with demands and threats to use this information that they believe would be so publicly embarrassing to me and my wife at a difficult time that it could be used, knowingly putting my children in harm's way. So,
well, I mean, you were being a scumbag, and that's how this works, baby. If you don't like, being in a situation where people are like, where, they have something over you or whatever like this, don't be a scumbag. Don't roll around with pigs if you don't want to get in the mud. This guy openly attacked this woman's network, right? Like, went after it for absolutely no reason whatsoever. And, like, used people against each other to just to hurt them, just for the sake of it. When you do that kind of thing, you're gonna find yourself in a pickle, That's how this works, baby. Welcome to the real world, and he knows that.
To those self-styled Christians, conservatives, and allies, well, not in my book. Now, if you find yourself, I don't want to get into details, so this is going to likely be the only time I have to address this or want to address this. If you're asking yourself, hey, did X person or did Y person know? The answer is likely yes, which will be made alarmingly clear as this process of discovery continues. And it also, by the way, makes me that much more appreciative of those who did know about this and, in understanding the best interests of my family, my children, kept their word and used discretion. I can't thank you enough. Sincerely, I appreciate it. Won't forget it. It's pretty simple. I loved a woman so much that I married her. A woman who, despite all of this, I still love as the mother of my children. And she wanted something else for her life.
And that's her right. That's how this works, right? You're allowed to make your own decisions?
That's not my choice. She simply wanted out, and the law says that that's how it works. Now, of course, look, I get it. There are
Wow, dude. He says the law says that's how it works, so I just have to accept that she can make her own choices. That's insane! Does he not see how insane this is? Seriously. Are you not connecting the dots on this? This is absolutely wrong. Like, you want to take people's rights away.
Multiple sides to every story, but one thing that is undeniable in this case is that it's no one's fault but my own, in that I picked wrong, and that's certainly not the fault of my children.
Wow, dude. This is just completely ass backwards. Using his kids as a shield again. That's certainly not the fault of my children, so leave them out of it. And if you dig into this in any way, then you're hurting them. And it's not my fault, really. It's my wife's fault. That's the backhanded way of saying that, right? Backhanded compliment, kind of. Like somebody saying, you don't look as fat today as you did yesterday. Backhanded compliment. Those are deeply destructive, by the way. And that's the type of thing that abusers do. It's really my fault. It's my fault, not yours. It's mine, because I picked wrong. Just disgusting, dude. This guy is absolutely terrible in every way.
And I will say that what's in the best interest of my children is not internet drama, speculation, certainly not blatant or veiled shakedowns or dragging their father or mother, and I can't be clear on that enough, or their mother through the mud. And to anyone who tries it, I'm no longer going to pacify, capitulate, or sidestep because I love them a whole lot more than I love you.
So he's basically saying, I'm taking the gloves off and I'm going to reveal a bunch of drama to a bunch of people. Or I'm going to start drama. He doesn't even, I don't know that he's even aware of drama. Certainly not now. He tipped his hand and showed himself to be a drama queen before when he attacked the Daily Wire for absolutely no reason. But he's saying that he's prepared to, start all kinds of drama with all kinds of people over nothing, basically, right? Were you not already doing that?
Pacify, capitulate, or sidestep because I love them a whole lot more than I love you. And I will continue to do whatever is necessary to protect my children. Discussing the divorce any further on social media or on this show or in any public space is not what's best for them. I'll be handling this through the proper legal avenues and channels available as a matter.
That's fine. That's perfectly fine. You don't have to like discuss your personal stuff publicly. But when you find yourself in this type of situation where what you're going through is in direct contradiction to the values that you've espoused your entire life, you could at the very least come out and say, hey, I'm getting a divorce. Say it on Twitter if you want. Say it anywhere. Make the audience aware and say, it's not my choice. I'm not a fan of this, but that's what it is. Could at least do that, but no.
Divorce any further on social media or on this show or in any public space is not what's best for them. I'll be handling this through the proper legal avenues and channels available as a matter of record in which I have more than full confidence. So I'd ask that you...
So he's saying he has full confidence in the judicial system, I guess? Well, that makes sense. It favors men, so totally. Well, favors men in some situations. Favors rich men in many cases. Although, I'll be fair, it favors women in child custody and alimony hearings and child support hearings and stuff. So that's not fantastic. That's viewed as a men's rights issue. Really, it's a feminist issue also, because women shouldn't be viewed as the caretakers 24/7.
Matter of record in which I have more than full confidence. So I'd ask that you understand the need for and respect our privacy in what is obviously a pretty tough time. And I hope that none of this has to go any further than that. Now,
there's his implicit threat. I hope none of this has to go further than that. Leave my kids out of it. He's using them as a shield, and it's just disgusting and ridiculous.
Of time. And I hope that none of this has to go any further than that. Now, on with the reason you're all actually here.
Okay, so that was the opener to this. I was absolutely fascinated by that. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. The guy was very obviously using his kids as a shield through that entire thing to prevent anybody from talking about, his divorce or whatever. Just absurd on every level and disgusting.
I just said out of the court. What was that, Nick? Did you spill something?
Did I?
I just saw you look down. Is it what?
No, I was trying to block that horrible sucking of your coffee.
Oh, okay. I think we'll do away with it. We can take a vote on it. And by the way, I think the view counter is working at Rumble. Yesterday it crashed again, so we'll talk about that today. A lot to get to. Biden, former Vice President Biden, re-announced his...
Former Vice President Biden. Isn't that fascinating? They refused to acknowledge that he was the president, even though he is the president actively, currently, right now. Just absurd, dude.
So we'll talk about that today. A lot to get to. Biden, former Vice President Biden, re-announced his re-announcing of his re-election. Yeah. The point is, no one cares. But we'll talk about it because he delivered a commie speech in which everything is verifiably false. You're seeing Don Lemon out. Yesterday, we actually, funny enough, scooped CNN.
We did.
Accidentally, that Tucker is out. And I will tell you this, it's not just about Tucker Carlson. You see the horrible attacks that took place on Matt Walsh. You see Dan Bongino leaving, apparently, obviously, unmutually.
Okay, if you're watching this 5 years in the future, let me give a little context to this. Tucker Carlson was fired from Fox News recently. Don Lemon was fired on the exact same day. And also, Matt Walsh, a person from the Daily Wire, was hacked. Like, his account was hacked. And, they did, a SIM card swap and social engineering out the wazoo. Is absolutely impressive, I have to say. Not that I stand for hacks. I'm not really a fan of hacking, but anyways, it was deeply impressive how they went about doing it.
Based on Matt Walsh, you see Dan Bongino leaving, apparently, obviously, on mutually okay terms. Mm-hmm. But there's been a shifting landscape in media. And my question to you is, you think that it's an accident? You think that there's a concerted effort at this point? You can comment below.
Do you think there's a concerted effort to what? I don't know. What are they talking about? A concerted effort to what? Because, Dan Bongino being kicked out, Matt Walsh being hacked, Tucker Carlson being kicked out, these are all just things that happen, Apparently, Fox News doesn't want Dan Bongino or Tucker Carlson at their network anymore. They're perfectly free to do that. I don't understand. What's the hang-up? Like, what are you trying to communicate? What's the coincidence here?
Sort of make the case. It's definitely been put into overdrive. DDoS attacks, of course, on Rumble. Yeah. You've seen so many things going on. And also, we're talking about the...
Okay. DDoS attacks happen constantly. Like, I've been DDoS'd before. This happens. It's just like a kind of you're sending request after request after request to a website in an attempt to kind of slow down their systems and make them vulnerable to attack. That's what a DDoS is, and it's super common.
The gay throuple.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, it's a gay throuple adopting a child. I don't want to let people know much more than that. Because I think that piques your interest. It's a show Monday through Friday, by the way, 10 a.m. Eastern. If you want to tune in, head on over to Rumble. If you're watching on YouTube, it's live, 10 a.m. Eastern. Don't rely on notifications or any of that crap. All right, Gerald A. A lot of people don't know Gerald B. because you haven't.
Yeah, I think he has a deal with Rumble, I suspect, because he's always shouting out his Rumble. And I don't know. I think he's pretty big on Rumble, too. But I suspect that Rumble's activities are... what's the word I'm looking for here? They're kind of, I think that Rumble is lying about some of the metrics that they show publicly, but who knows?
And head on over to Rumble. If you're watching on YouTube, it's live, 10 a.m. Eastern. Don't rely on notifications or any of that crap. All right, Gerald A. A lot of people don't know Gerald B. because you haven't missed a day of work in a long time and been replaced.
Yeah, my son was born a year ago, and I missed some work, and all of a sudden I'm B.
Yes.
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
We got a fun show today.
It's one of the funnest shows, and we have the man who, I've referred to him as the GOAT for a very long time. If you have not seen his stand-up, I cannot recommend it enough. May 12th.
Who's he talking about? Like, is he just shouting out, like, random people? I don't care. Oh, Nick DiPaolo. Okay. He has a voice that is nearly identical to Bill Burr's. So I suspect his comedy is probably modeled after that. Very similar, at least. Anyway, I don't really care. Let me skip forward a little bit more. Okay.
Third seat. How do you think I feel?
Well, you know, you made the choice.
Yes, I did. A napkin is much easier.
Well, the truth. Have you never been here? We've replaced it. When he's not there, he's replaced with a blow-up doll.
And the ratings.
And we actually have a wig, and people prefer it.
Where do you keep that? And how do we get it to the hotel?
Believe me, we have plenty. I can give you a loaner.
Talking about a wig? He has a lot of wigs?
Just be sure to dry clean it.
Just pay the cleaning fee, Nick. Just pay the cleaning fee.
I don't know how that works. My aunt was talking to me. She's in here. She's from Wisconsin. She was talking to my dad, and Joe Louis couldn't go out in the back because it was muddy.
Yeah.
She goes, just let him go outside. And my dad goes, he's going to get all muddy. She says, put a tarp down. I said, yeah, like we have a tarp laying around. She goes, I got tarps all over.
Dude, I don't know what all this is. I'm just skipping because it's cringy and terrible.
Thing that you guys need to see in case you haven't been enraged enough the last 2 days. But this is a transgender couple. Well, ironically, creating sort of one of the more heterosexual videos. I know.
Unintentionally.
In a twist turn, but giving hormones to each other. And of course, this is beautiful and brave.
Okay, first of all, this is from TikTok. Steven Crowder is doing what's called the nutpicking fallacy. I talked about this not too long ago. I think it was in like the last part or the part before. I don't even know. But this is the nutpicking fallacy. What that means is nutpicking is the fallacious tactic of picking out and showcasing the nuttiest members of a group as the best representatives of that group, hence picking the nut. This fallacy is committed with when an arguer cherry picks a poor representative of a group to use as an ad hominem against them. For example, anti-feminists frequently paint people who support feminism as feminazis by highlighting examples of ridiculous or cringeworthy behavior from select individuals, rather than critiquing points addressed in mainline feminist writings. So what Steven Crowder is doing here is called nutpicking. He's picking out some random couple on TikTok and pointing out that they're like doing hormones or some other, I don't even know. I have no idea. And why does Steven Crowder even care? This isn't, something that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez released. She isn't sitting there giving hormones to her significant other or something. This is completely irrelevant in his life and has nothing to do with public policy or how widespread, being trans is or anything in society. And for the record, these aren't even nuts. These seem like normal people so far. I haven't even watched the video, so I can't say if they're nuts or not. But this is a perfectly normal thing to do. Steven Crowder is just disgusted at the fact that society is not what it once was. Okay, I'm going to mute it because I don't know if the music is going to get me like a strike or something, but yeah, so they're about to give hormones. I guess you got to give it in in your hip, on your side? I don't know. Yeah, on your side, I suppose. Probably intramuscular. And the other one takes a pill, I guess. And people are simply disgusted by that, apparently. Why? Why are they disgusted by that? Because they don't like anybody being different from them. They want complete homogeny, if at all possible. I mean, this is something they've openly spoken about. As a matter of fact, there's a guy named Elijah Schaffer who is close friends with Steven Crowder. As a matter of fact, they're on the same network. The Blaze. I think Steven Crowder left The Blaze recently since his contract expired with them or whatever, but they were on the same network at the very least. This is Elijah Schaffer on the right. Again, fellow co-host with Steven Crowder, or colleague, I guess. He's a colleague of Steven Crowder's. They've worked together. They work at the same company. They get paid by the same people. Listen to what he had to say about living in a homogenous society.
This is the most racist thing I'll say all podcast. People think that Australia is great because it's an all-white country. And it's just, that's the only reason why it's good. And you can say that that's white supremacist. No, it's a homogenous group of people with less population than there is in California and a landmass bigger than the United States. They get along, they don't commit crime, they're clean, and they have a common group.
Okay, so what he's saying is having a common group or having homogeny in society, being homogenous, meaning basically living in an ethno-state is what it means. Everybody is white in this country, in, I don't know, Denmark or whatever. Everybody, every single person is white. Almost no racial diversity. That means there's no conflict in that society whatsoever, according to him. Again, he's close friends with Steven Crowder. They work for the same company. Well, not anymore. Again, I think Elijah Schaffer was fired, and I think Steven Crowder left The Blaze. So, yeah, take that for what you will. But they, at the very least, did work for the same company at the same time together. They hold the same views and ideas. And as someone rightly pointed out, yeah, Australia has indigenous people. That's absolutely right. They're Aboriginals, right? They've been there for 50,000 years or something like that.
Multiculturalism is gay. It sucks. It's stupid. It doesn't work. It never has worked. I'm sorry. It just doesn't. But they have a country. It's homogenous. So everyone thinks because it's a monoculture that it's this really balanced society that's it's just not violent. It's not trash and everyone's wealthy. It's actually true. But
no, it isn't true, actually. That's false. That's incorrect.
Their politics are fucked.
Absurd on every level. Dude seems to be endorsing ethno-states here, right? You know why? Because within conservative ideals, you would live in an ethno-state. That's the idea here. You want to be in a completely homogenous society that doesn't deviate from itself or from other members of that society in any way. As a matter of fact, there's something called the F scale. There's a personality test written in 1947, immediately after World War II, to determine if somebody was more likely to work with Hitler or to be sympathetic to his goals. I mean, let's just look through some of the options on the list here, some of the criteria that determine if somebody was going to be likely to be a member of the Axis powers. Conventionalism, conformity to the traditional societal norms and values of the middle class. So conservatism, basically. Traditionalism, conservatism, homogeny, being part of one group rather than recognizing diversity or differences in each other. Religion and ethics, being overly obsessed with them. Superstition, being obsessed with power and toughness. Anti-introception, i.e., rejection of all inwardness, of the subjective, the imaginative, the tender-minded, self-criticism. Exaggerated concern with sexual goings-on, that's on the list too. I mean, any of this sounding familiar right now? Who gives a shit what these people are doing in their lives? Who cares? Why does Steven Crowder care? They're doing their own thing, living their own life. And that's all that should really matter, right? Let them live their lives.
I don't even know what that is on the left. I'm serious.
Well, here's the thing.
Well,
Obviously,
now I do.
It's meant to play on your, emotional strings, and this is not. These people do.
Well, he's pretending it's propaganda. No, it's just some people like living their lives and showing what they're doing. This isn't propaganda.
Here's the thing.
Well,
Obviously,
now I do.
It's meant to play on your, emotional strings, and this is not. These people do this. This is not actually the first attempt.
not,
they
yeah.
tried it initially with a different song, but it was struck for copyright.
Somewhere over the dildo.
Now, that's
Oh my God, dude. Why? Why is he the way that he is? I can't believe he said that on YouTube.
Oh, for the love of God.
Yeah.
I don't like that type of talk. Clean it up, huh, Steven? This is PG-13 light.
I know Nick always goes. He goes, "What? You're getting mad at me because I said you did? That's the darkest shit I've ever seen in my life."
You know what 13-year-old kids are exposed to on the internet?
That's true.
That standard has to change.
Yeah, I guess.
A little bit.
But anyways,
I don't even know what it means, but
me either.
hey, it's beautiful, isn't it? It's wonderful. We're all supposed to just say, "Yeah, isn't that beautiful?" What's beautiful about injecting your spouse with a hormone that's foreign to their body?
Oh, well, it's kind of funny he says that. I mean, people inject hormones into themselves all the time for perfectly valid medical reasons. For example, a cancer patient will inject testosterone into their body because they have a shortage of it. Or, weightlifters, or hell, you can just be low on testosterone or estrogen or whatever, and a doctor will prescribe it to you. This is not that crazy or unusual. Foreign to your body. So you're saying anything that's foreign to your body should not be in your body. Is that what you're telling me, Steven? I mean, there are a number of directions I could go with this. Do I need to?
Correct me if I'm wrong. There was a girl that became a guy and a guy that became a girl.
I can't correct you because I don't know.
Yeah, nobody.
Yeah, who cares? Why are you trying to, analyze this? Why are you obsessed with knowing anything about these people like that? Like, why do you care at all? Just absurd on every level.
He does.
That's
Science.
The point is, whatever's being injected, if they're a man and it's estrogen, cancer.
It's bad.
If they're a woman and it's testosterone, who knows, possibly cancer. Definitely some roid rage.
Yeah.
So I guess he's saying that that testosterone is bad, right? That it causes problems for people. Like, it's better that people just not have testosterone at all.
Okay. And no sex.
Well, I don't know.
Well, I mean,
Why are you saying that?
well, if he that became a she committed, then there's no sexual things down there to have sexy stuff.
I don't know. They're not monks.
That's
Fair.
the thing. We don't know how far they go, a lot of these people.
It's true.
Yeah, why are they obsessed with the sexual goings-on of these random people? Why are they overanalyzing this? Why are they thinking about this? They were not, invited into that part of these people's lives, and they are spreading this stuff out to millions of people. These speculations and ideas. This is just disgusting, dude.
You don't. Well, over 90% don't go through the bottom half. At least they didn't until before.
Emily Neptune, taking testosterone causes roid rage. WTFT is not steroids. That's true. They are different. Although testosterone is used as a steroid sometimes, as like a weightlifting thing, and it does cause, or can at the very least cause, anger and violence. Right? Doesn't testosterone boost violent behavior dramatically? I don't even remember. It's been a while since I looked into this.
They go, a lot of these people.
It's true. You don't. Well, over 90% don't go through the bottom half. At least they didn't until before, and most of them just put on a dress. And they say they're barely passable, and by that they mean you're not passable.
Again, that's why I love Caitlyn Jenner. That's Bruce Jenner in a dress busting my balls. Big hairy forearms.
This is just wrong, dude. Why are they like this? What happened to that? When I was in elementary school, I remember teachers used to say, be nice to the other kids. You got to be nice. Treat everybody equally because everybody is an equal to you, right? Did they not go through that? Were they in private school and their parents said, be mean intentionally? What happened? How did they end up here in life where they sit here and say things like this? I don't get it. And it's not even for a purpose. It's not even funny at all. He just said Caitlyn Jenner is just a guy in a dress, basically. What's funny? I don't understand. Is there a joke in there somewhere? Because they started laughing when he said that, right? What am I missing?
Sound clip that for Nick next time he's on. I love Caitlyn Jenner. We'll use that whenever it's...
I do. The fact that he...
Welcome to my world.
She
Nick.
set world records, broke that glass ceiling in the male decathlon.
And she said, if you're not laughing at me now, when you were a fan of mine when I was a... right?
Yeah.
Remember that?
So Steven Crowder is propagandizing here, if you notice. Let me just step back. Listen again.
That if you're not laughing...
My world.
She
Nick.
used that when world records, broke that glass ceiling in the male decathlon.
Saying that Caitlyn Jenner broke world records. Yeah, Caitlyn Jenner was an Olympian long and long ago, long before coming out as trans. And eventually, when finally coming out as trans, started taking hormones and, you know, the whole 9 yards. When competing, Caitlyn Jenner was not presenting as or taking hormones of or whatever of a woman. That he's just like propagandizing to try to own people on this point again. It's just absurd.
And she said, if you're not laughing at me now, when you were a fan of mine when I was a... right?
Yeah.
Remember that? She said, you're crazy.
I think she said, if you're not laughing at me now.
I don't get it. Is there a joke in here somewhere? I'm trying to connect the dots on this, but I'm just like lost.
All right, you pumpkin pie haircutted freak. So,
How's that?
Dumb and Dumber.
I think so.
Oh.
It's Harlan Williams.
Yes. How's that
Pumpkin
going?
pie. You'd keep your mouth shut if you knew it was good for you, buddy boy.
How's that going?
Am I missing a joke? Is there like a hidden joke here from like an old movie that I just haven't seen since I was a kid or what? I don't know.
Oh, Snowball.
That's a good Harlan Williams. He's a national hero in Canada.
I love him.
Hey, by the way, if you're watching today, you know, it's the end of Free Mug Club month, and as I'm sure you can imagine, expensive to keep this up and bring on people like Nick. That intro doesn't just happen. Click the button if you're watching on Rumble today. There's a button right there. You just go, boom, click it, and you get to continue watching for the remaining hour. Okay.
Do it.
So this one is right up Gerald's alley.
Why is that?
Well, because, you know, you're
Sounds
informed.
dirty.
Is
on
it
this.
sports?
This morning at 6 a.m. Eastern, Joe Biden, because that's when you announce important news.
Well, that's when he's halfway through his day. So.
Yes, exactly.
Well, he's taking his 40th piss.
Yes, he did. He tweeted this from Bob Evans.
Oh, you hit send, Joe.
What? I don't get it. Joe Biden likes to get up early? Is that the joke? What's the joke?
This morning, former Vice President Joe Biden, respect the office, former Vice President Joe Biden announced.
Again, refusing to acknowledge that he's the president right now, even though he very obviously is. But okay.
This morning, former Vice President Joe Biden, respect.
God, these people are snowflakes, aren't they? It's absurd. Like, can you get over yourself and accept the fact that you lost the election? You know what? I had to deal with the fact that Bernie Sanders lost the election in 2016, the primary, and then Hillary lost eventually too. I had to deal with that fact. If I have to deal with that fact, then you can deal with it too. Get over yourself. Seriously.
The office, former Vice President Joe Biden announced on Twitter that he would be running for re-election. And this is going to be a bit of a longer clip because we will go through it point by point, dissecting claim and truth. He announced his new campaign in video format.
Yeah, they tend to like modify videos and lie about things, so be skeptical about everything you see here.
Would a Michael Bay do this?
In a world.
Freedom,
That's right, they don't have the Transformers.
personal freedom is fundamental to who we are as Americans.
When he said freedom, he just undid his belt buckle.
Yes.
That's been the work of my first term, to fight for our democracy,
This shouldn't be a red or blue issue.
to protect our rights, to make sure that everyone in this country is treated equally and that everyone is given a fair shot at making it.
Liar!
Bookmark it. We'll get
But
back
you
to
know,
it.
around the country, MAGA extremists are lining up to take on those
Megger.
bedrock freedoms.
Yeah, Megger.
Cutting Social Security, that you
Dumpster
paid
Megger.
for your entire life, while cutting
Vodka
taxes
and
for the
tonic.
very wealthy, dictating what health care decisions women can make, banning books, and telling people who they can love, all while making it more difficult for you to be able to vote.
Should be able to shower your daughter.
Yes.
What is he talking about, dude? He's espousing some. I don't know if you heard what he said. I think he said should be able to shower with your daughter or something like that. He's espousing some conspiracy theories, some anti-Joe Biden conspiracy theories. Basically, Project Veritas claimed to have stolen Joe Biden's daughter's diary, Ashley Biden's diary. You ever notice that they never talk about Joe Biden's daughter's diary? That's probably because, in my opinion, I suspect that it's completely faked. And they got in a whole bunch of trouble for claiming that they found all this stuff in it. They can't stop talking about Hunter's laptop, but they won't say a word about Ashley Biden's diary. That's interesting, isn't it? I think it was all made up, and they were about to get in some real shit for defamation and stuff if they didn't stop. That's my guess. But anyways, that's a throwback to Ashley Biden's diary, or the claim that was in Ashley Biden's diary, that Joe Biden was, like, attacking her, basically, or whatever. Again, no evidence for this. It's completely made up, all of it.
And everybody else's daughter, apparently.
Yeah,
Apparently.
what a dick.
His freedom
what a
involves
jerk.
nasal
When I
decongestant.
ran for president 4 years ago,
And
I said we're in a
depends.
battle for the soul of America, and we still are. The question we're facing is whether in the years ahead we have more freedom or less freedom. More rights or fewer.
he's the freedom guy.
Unbelievable.
He's the freedom guy.
I am my blood pressure.
I know. I
This
know.
is
I can
not a
see it.
time
It's
to
like
be
BB King
complacent.
right before he died.
Dude, I can't understand what Biden is saying or what these people are saying either because they keep talking over it. My God, dude, just shut up and watch it or pause it and talk. Make your stupid jokes in between. Like, I don't... All right, let's just keep listening.
That's why I'm running for re-election.
I don't know.
Why could it be BB King?
Dude, what are they even talking about? They made jokes in the middle of this stupid... These people drive me nuts. All right, let's try to tune out Joe Biden for a second and listen to the jokes that they were making.
Unbelievable.
He's the freedom guy.
I am my blood pressure.
I know. I
This
know.
is
I can
not a
see it.
time
It's
to
like
be
BB King
complacent.
right before he died.
Okay, so the guy made a terrible joke about BB King dying. Why are they like this? How did they get like this? How did this happen? I want to know.
That's why I'm running for re-election.
I don't know.
Why could it be BB King?
Diabetes.
One of my favorite moments, by the way, before we move on to the claims of the truth, one of my favorite moments in the history of this show is yesterday. Nick got so mad. I don't remember if it was Joy Reid.
Oh, I
that he
couldn't
just
talk.
went, "Oh, nice hairdo." I can't even. Like,
I know.
you're
Went back to open mic.
You were so angry. But here's the thing. Let's go through this. Okay, let's go through this point by point. The claims that he makes. Here's a claim that former Vice President Joe Biden makes in there, that freedom is integral to Biden's ethos. First off, click like if you're watching on YouTube right now, and you know that everything that guy just said is bullshit. Okay.
Okay, well, I suppose he did make a claim that, you know, he's trying to get freedom. He's fighting for freedom. Okay.
Because here's the truth. Yeah, Joe Biden, former vice president, is all about freedom unless you want to start a business, of course, because he added regulations that are unprecedented. Or if you
Okay, hold on. Let's just step back. Let's look at this. Let's look closely.
is all about freedom unless you want to start a business, of course, because he added
Let's see. Biden, where is this from? Bloomberg? Is this even real? Let's see. Let's look this up. Let's find out if this is real or completely fabricated. How Biden has made policy with short-term costly rules? What he's doing right now is called the fire hose of falsehoods. And he's also doing something called gish galloping. Well, this is probably gish galloping, not fire hose propaganda. But gish galloping is throwing out a bunch of claims back to back to back without giving you an opportunity to fact check them or read it yourself. He flipped this up for, 1.5 seconds, maybe 2 seconds. Let's see what it says here. How Biden's made policy with short-term costly rules. Okay, this is Bloomberg Law, not Bloomberg. Is that what it says? No, it just says Bloomberg. They're two separate things, but all right. Biden relied on short-term regulations with significant economic impact to achieve key policy aims in the first year of his presidency. Even as federal judges ruled he didn't have the power to write those rules. What even is this? Like, I've never heard of this website. Let's look up Media Bias Fact Check. Let's just look up Bloomberg Law. What is Bloomberg Law? Is it owned by the same company? Hold on. Search. I don't know. Why? There's seemingly no, like, media rating for Bloomberg Law. Apparently, like, this website doesn't seem to exist or something, like, within the media ecosystem. Yeah, I can't find this listed anywhere as far as, like, you know, media bias ratings go. Let's check all sides. What the hell is Bloomberg Law? I've never heard of this before. Yeah, I don't know what this is, but Steven Crowder claims it's from Bloomberg. It is not from Bloomberg. It's from Bloomberg Law. Maybe they're the same company. That's possible. Could be. In fact, hell, I would even go as far as to say maybe that's likely. But I can't seem to find a single thing about this website or this company anywhere. I have no idea what Bloomberg Law is. And for the record, a lot of people have the last name Bloomberg. Anybody have insight into this in the comments? Bloomberg Law appears to be a data research company. So maybe there's a different company with the same name? Yeah, that could be. Following's from Wikipedia. Bloomberg Law is a subscription-based service that uses data analytics and artificial intelligence for online legal research. Okay. Interesting. So it sounds like they were analyzing it from like a legal analysis perspective. Like, how did these, what do you call it? How did these policies affect, you know, various different things? Now, he says that this affects small businesses. He approved 19, this is supposedly a quote from Bloomberg Law. This is in Steven Crowder's video. Without a working majority in Congress, President turned to temporary rules to rapidly meet his pandemic goals. In particular, he approved 19 temporary rules, a total that exceeded even his regulation-friendly former boss, Barack Obama. If it really says regulation-friendly former boss, this is editorializing. It's this is bias. This website is very clearly biased, if that's true. It does. Sure enough, it says it. I mean, just the verbiage that they're using in this is very obviously biased. I wouldn't expect language like this about Trump either in a reliable, trustworthy news source. Yeah, it's commentary, it appears. Owned by Michael Bloomberg and Bank of America. Okay. Yeah, this is commentary. Seems clear as day. This is not a trustworthy source, but okay, let's keep listening. I want to check every one of these. I don't want him to get away with any propaganda here.
Now, and you know that everything that guy just said is bullshit. Okay. Because here's the truth. Yeah, Joe Biden, former vice president, is all about freedom unless you want to start a business, of course, because he added regulations that are unprecedented. Or
okay, I don't know that that's even true. He has not proven that, and he popped that up for half a second. And also, we were trying to make our way out of a pandemic. So naturally, you know, it's going to include more regulations. That's obvious, it seems to me.
And you know that everything that guy just said is bullshit. Okay. Because here's the truth. Yeah, Joe Biden, former vice president, is all about freedom unless you want to start a business, of course, because he added regulations that are unprecedented. Or if you want to protect yourself or your family with a firearm, or if you believe in parental.
Okay, now hold on. Let just one at a time. You shouldn't be protecting yourself with a firearm under any circumstances, okay? Yeah, it may seem like a good idea in the moment, but guess what happens? Think about this. Kyle Rittenhouse arguably shouldn't have been there in the first place. Arguably should have been put in jail for what he did, right? But it was ruled self-defense, what Kyle Rittenhouse did. If you're not familiar with that, he was at a protest with an AR-15, and somebody ran at him, and he pulled the trigger and killed a bunch of people. Or maybe one person, maybe three people, I don't remember. Anyways, do you really want to be in the type of situation where the legal system has to litigate every split-second decision that you made over the next 15 years, 10, 5 years? Kyle Rittenhouse isn't even out of the water right now. You may save, yourself from being attacked or whatever. That's possible. But do you really want to let the legal system work all of that out? Trust me, you shouldn't be using a gun for self-defense. That's absurd. Oh, and also Joe Biden did almost nothing with gun reform anyways. He has basically just spoken out against guns being widespread the way that they are right now. That's not hindering anybody's freedom.
Start a business, of course, because he added regulations that are unprecedented. Or if you want to protect yourself or your family with a firearm, or if you believe in parental rights and you don't want to transition your children, or...
Wait, if you believe in parental rights and you don't want to transition your children, then Biden is the bad person because he's going to force you to transition your children? Is that what he's saying? Everyone's going to be forced to transition their children no matter what.
Yourself or your family with a firearm, or if you believe in parental rights and you don't want to transition your children, or, of course, if you believe that you should be able to drive a car that uses the evil fossil fuel. So outside...
Like, no one is stopping you from driving a fossil fuel car. I mean, Biden has a Corvette, right? So, yeah, all of this is just completely made up. I have to address every single one of these. I can't just let this go.
Outside of that, he's all about freedom. Also, if your credit score is a little too high, you're going to be punished for it. So it's freedom.
What? Credit score a little bit too high? What? What are you talking about? How are you going to be punished for having a high credit score? Wouldn't you think that these conservative types would be against credit scores in the first place? They're against social credit scores, or they purport to be. Credit scores are bad, in my opinion. Why is it that they don't view them as bad in this one very specific situation?
Understand that freedom means it's not. Right. Did I miss anything?
I think.
Yeah, you missed a lot. And everything that he said was complete nonsense. And the sources that he quoted, let's see, at the very least, deceptively quoted. In some cases, they weren't even the correct sources. Like he said, this is Bloomberg. This is not Bloomberg, although it is owned by Bloomberg, apparently. Let's see. President Biden on Saturday signed the most sweeping gun violence bill in decades, a bipartisan compromise that seemed unimaginable until a recent series of attacks, including the massacre of 19 students, 2 teachers at a Texas elementary school. And Steven Crowder is speaking out against this. This is bad in his mind. And it isn't even like he didn't even do that much. He didn't even push, gun reforms that we need. It was the most basic, bottom of the barrel changes.
If you believe in parental rights and you don't want to transition your children.
Okay, Biden signs order to protect transgender children as Texas continues efforts to restrict gender-affirming care. So the Biden administration was allegedly, I haven't even read the bill, is giving kids the option to do what they want and live their lives. And Steven Crowder is, once again, trying to force other people to allow them to impose his will upon them. He wants to control everything and seemingly believes it's wrong if people are allowed to make their own decisions in their lives. I don't know if you saw the opener to this, but Steven Crowder, in the very beginning of this episode that he released, talked about how wrong it is that his wife is allowed to divorce him without his permission. Seriously, it's the same mindset. Absurd.
Or, of course, if you believe that you should be able to drive a car that uses the evil fossil fuel. So outside of that, he's all about freedom. Also, if your credit score is a little too high, you're going to be punished for it. So it's freedom if you understand that freedom means it's not. Right.
That makes no sense.
Did I miss anything?
I think you covered just about all of that.
All right.
Yeah.
You can always jump in, Gerald, if you have anything you need to add. I thought you had a point there. No? Okay. No. Here's another claim. I'm looking at you for this one, Gerald A.
My bad.
We're going to downgrade you to C. Gerald! Biden says that he was fighting for democracy, or he has been fighting for democracy, former Vice President Biden. Okay. Here's the truth. And all of these references are made publicly available so that you can fact check us. He signed...
Well, I just fact check. I don't even need to see the references. Like, he's simply wrong on all of this stuff.
All of these references are made publicly available so that you can fact check us. He signed 22 executive orders in the first week, the most since the 1970s.
The majority of those, this is a good point to jump in, the majority of those were actually just to undo Trump.
Right.
All the stuff that Trump did. First one, Keystone XL pipeline. So if you want to be energy independent, he's not so much your guy.
Well,
that's completely incorrect. Biden is pushing energy independence through green energy. This is like the best idea that we've had in who knows how generations, to go energy independent through green energy. Oh my God. Why are we powering the world on fossil fuels? Like, this is so stupid. We're building wind turbines. We are building solar infrastructure and all this other stuff. Not only is it good for the planet, but it's good for national security. We are currently dependent on other countries for our energy. We buy barrels of oil from other countries. Why? Why are we doing that? We don't need to do that. We're perfectly capable of supplying our own energy across the board in the United States. Why are we depending on others like this? This is absurd. Hell, if you want, build out green energy, a green energy grid, and then sell the oil you're digging up if you really want to. National security and economy boost. It's absurd that anybody would be opposed to this. The only reason you're opposed to this is because Democrats are for it. That's it.
Trump did. First one, Keystone XL pipeline. So if you want to be energy independent, he's not so much your guy.
Well, you're also free to pay.
No, he is very much my guy if I want to be energy independent. Why are we using fossil fuels? This is absurd.
Keystone XL pipeline. So if you want to be energy independent, he's not so much your guy.
Well, you're also free to pay, twice the amount for gas.
That's a freedom.
Yeah.
Free to pay more for everything.
I mean, it's free.
Okay, Biden doesn't control gas. He doesn't control the gas prices. He doesn't have like a dial on his desk that he can spin to make it more or less expensive. It's absurd. And if you want gas to be less expensive, we can stop using gas or fossil fuels or whatever on our energy grid and switch over to electric vehicles. There are a billion ways to make this better. The more people, look, even if you don't want to switch to an electric vehicle, fine. You want to keep your fossil fuel powered car? Okay. But everybody else, you should be encouraging them to switch, right? Because the fewer people using fossil fuels to power their car, the lower the gas prices are going to be, because less demand means lower prices. Why are you complaining about Biden trying to encourage electric car use when it would benefit you in every way? There is no downside for you if you want to use an electric vehicle. I just don't get the logic here. It's absurd.
Freedom if you don't actually if you don't use the definition of freedom. It's just we're changing them, like male, female. It's not a thing anymore. Okay. And I think if the research team can grab...
Okay, male and female are still very much a thing.
It's just we're changing them, like male, female. It's not a thing anymore. Okay. And I think if the research team can grab it, I think he did he signed 160 in his first year.
It was about 160 in the first year, so we wanted to have a good comparison for you.
Yeah, compared to Obama and Trump, I think it was...
Obama's 35 and Trump 35 was like 55
was
in his
55.
First year. Yeah, so
that's... I'm not a math Asian, but 3 times as many...
A math Asian? He is not a math Asian? What does that mean? Why is he like this? It's like he's racist just for the sake of being racist, just because he can. He wants to be, so he will be. What happened to him as a child? How did this person come to be? I must know.
It was like 55
was
in his
55.
First year. Yeah, so
that's... I'm not a math Asian, but 3 times as many?
That is 3 times, but I think the key point that they made here was that typically in the first week, you may get 1, 2, 3 of these. 22.
Yeah.
The first thing he did when he walked into the Oval Office essentially was revoke the Keystone Pipeline approval.
Yeah, and half of them involved toddler scratch and sniffs. He doesn't even, like, the executive orders have... It's almost like they have nothing to do with policy.
7 of the...
What? They have nothing to do with policy? Some of them do, some of them don't. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't have to do, or it doesn't have to pertain to policy. What is he talking about here?
Exactly. They were banning kids from the Oval Office, which he repealed immediately.
But I don't know. I don't have a degree in political science, so don't take my word for it.
So then he blew something up. He banned the pipeline.
Yeah, exactly. That. No. Allegedly. We have no idea who did that.
No, you're actually right.
Dude, what are they talking about right now? Like, this is just a confusing train wreck, all of it. Are they saying that Biden blew up the Nord Stream pipeline? Do they know the difference between Nord Stream and Keystone? What are they talking about, man? Racist as a sport. Yeah, absolutely. Seems to be like his whole bit.
Yeah, Nord Stream blew itself up.
Jacques Cousteau's ghost.
Okay, so they are talking about Nord Stream. Okay, Keystone is in America. Nord Stream is in Europe. What does Nord Stream have to do with anything? What are they talking about? And the U.S. did not blow up Nord Stream. Apparently, The U.S. released intelligence recently that implies that maybe it was Ukraine that blew up the pipeline, but we don't know for sure.
He was looking for the spotted octopus or something.
There's a pipeline.
Yeah. Oh, what is this? Energy independence? Not on my watch.
I don't like. I feel like their jokes are all built on like inside jokes and make no sense to anybody who hasn't like been brainwashed into their belief system.
Jesse Ventura was there. I was in an underwater demolition unit. Fine.
Thanks, Jesse. I won't question you. I'll get
God.
Here's another claim that he makes in his video that he wants to.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, Jesse Ventura. Like, I have no idea what this has to do with anything, honestly. But Jesse Ventura apparently says he was in an underwater demolition unit. Was he in the military? That's what the Marines started out as, I believe. Like the Navy SEALs. I'm sorry, Navy SEALs. That's what I meant to say. They're a branch of the Navy that were tasked with going in and detonating bombs ahead of time and clearing pathways and kind of scoping things out ahead of time. That's what the Navy SEALs were supposed to be originally. I'm sorry. I didn't mean Marines. I meant Navy SEALs. Is that what they're talking about? I'm like so lost.
In an underwater demolition unit. Fine.
Thanks, Jesse. I won't question you. I'll get
God.
Jesse Ventura is actually on point with some stuff. I think he's a libertarian, but he's got some really good ideas.
Here's another claim that he makes in his video that...
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm going to keep pausing. I'm going to step back and just cut this whole bit out. Jesse Ventura, to my knowledge, is like an ex-wrestler, and I think he's like the governor of some state up north, Minnesota maybe. I don't know. And like I said, he had some fantastic ideas, and then some of them were bad.
I was in an underwater demolition unit. Fine.
Thanks, Jesse. I won't question you. I'll get
God.
Here's another claim that he makes in his video that he wants to make sure everyone is treated equally.
Oh, boy.
Is anyone buying this? I mean, I'm at the point where... Nope. Is anyone buying this? If you're watching on Rumble, smash...
Okay, you can't possibly disagree with the fact that Biden wants people to be treated equally. I mean, Steven Crowder, through this whole thing, has established the fact that he does not want people to be treated equally, right? He does not want women to be able to make a decision about leaving a marriage, make their own decision. That is unequal treatment in the eyes of the law. That's what Steven Crowder advocates for, unequal treatment. So I don't like, yeah, obviously Biden would be opposed to that. Why are you even arguing this right now?
Smash the Rumble button here. And you can comment below. Does this actually work with anybody? Because here's the thing. If you look at the Democratic voters, they're not demanding more freedom or choice. This is, as I've said, the left. Biden, Democrats always have to run as centrists. They always have to present as centrists in order to be elected. Contrast that with the right. If you look at even the primary right now, DeSantis, you look at Trump, they have to present themselves to be as conservative as possible and do the same in a general election. Otherwise, they stand no chance at winning. One side.
Okay, wow, that's really interesting. I think that I don't think that's a very good analysis. I think that analysis is garbage, honestly. I don't feel like getting into why at this immediate moment, but I will say that Biden is not like left-leaning in any way. He's not left-leaning when he campaigns, and he's not left-leaning when he governs either. That's complete nonsense in every way. He's no Bernie Sanders, but they want to portray him as one. So they'll claim that Biden is, you know, to the left of everybody, basically. They'll claim Biden's to the left. And when they hear him say centrist things or, you know, maybe even a little bit right-leaning stuff, they claim that the dude is trying to pretend to be in the center so that people, you know, will vote for him, basically. That's their excuse for why he's saying something that's not cohesive with their already existing beliefs about him. Now, he's just not on the left, really. Biden isn't, is all.
Is actually incentivized to deceive you. So he says he wants to make sure that everyone is treated equally. Okay, here's the truth. Former Vice President Biden's Justice Department, right?
Okay, I bet anything he's going to pretend that white people are persecuted or men or, I don't know, Christians or whatever. He's going to, by the way, that's a KKK talking point. that white people or Christians are persecuted.
Former Vice President Biden's Justice Department, right, it urged the Supreme Court to drop the affirmative action case against Harvard from Asian Americans, where, Asians said, hey, Harvard told us we're full up. Too many of you deservingly are scoring off the charts, and we're going to reject you from the schools because affirmative action, unfortunately, bit them in the ass when Asians who come from strong family households who value studying hard, getting good grades.
Okay, so now we can hear him talking about affirmative action, right? Let me show you something now. Now that we've heard him establish that he is opposed to affirmative action because it discriminates against white people, among others. This is a Grand Wizard of the KKK in 1982 giving an interview with CNN. Listen to what the KKK Grand Wizard said all the way back in 1982 about affirmative action and see how that jives with what Steven Crowder is saying.
I want to finish what I was saying. We feel that affirmative action is discriminating against white people, and there is no question about it. Two wrongs don't make a right. Because black people were hurt and discriminated against in the past does not justify the discrimination against white people now. And we're asking for an end to that.
Look, of course, it's completely made up. That's not what affirmative action is. That's not how affirmative action works. That's a misrepresentation to the highest degree of the policy, of the ideal, of the thing it's trying to accomplish. But the KKK had a vested interest in warping that goal, in warping what affirmative action was intended to do. Of course. And this is all the way back in 1982. And now Steven Crowder is repeating those talking points. The Republican Party of today is the KKK of yesterday. Seriously. So now let's listen to what Steven Crowder had to say about affirmative action.
When Asians who come from strong family households who value studying hard, getting good grades, they were being denied entry. They were being discriminated against based on their race. Then Biden said, no, let's keep that going.
Let's keep you Asians out of higher education. And then they blame us for...
It's completely made up. That's not what was happening. They will always find some way to propagandize and make equality out to be the bad road. There is no good way to equality, in their opinion. We just have to keep things the way that they are.
Saying that we are promoting hate towards Asians. I'm like, you literally want them to have a worse life because they don't get the education they deserve.
Isn't it
completely made up entirely?
Freeing to just be consistent, to say, yeah, that's a meritocracy. I don't care if you're Asian, if you're black, if you're white, you get the best grades, you get going to college. They have to say, no, but if you're black, but if you're Asian, but...
Okay, well, you know what? Since he's bringing this up, let's talk about it. He says we should live in a complete meritocracy where if you're black and you can succeed in whatever, taking tests or whatever else, then you should be allowed into this college. That's what affirmative action is. It's a college admissions thing that encourages colleges to weight admissions in the direction of societal representation. So if your college has 4% black people, then they should be bringing in more black people if possible until we reach about 14.3%. They want it to be representative of society, which would be right. That's the right way to do it. That's the correct thing to do, right? There are a number of reasons why society or these colleges don't have an exact fair representation of the black community. And none of those things may be racism. It may be any number of other factors. You know, it's like from the founding of the country, it's like we had white people going around the monopoly board and passing go for decades and decades and decades. And just 50, 70 maybe years ago, black people were just now allowed to start passing the go, or were allowed to start passing go and collecting money and buying properties. Up until 1965, black people weren't even allowed to attend the same schools as white people, okay? And up until the 80s or 90s, black people were still societally pushed out of everything. Even now, we can see college admissions tend to favor white people rather than black people, even when those black people have the exact same qualifications or merits or whatever as the white people. A black-sounding name is picked less often for job interviews or college admissions or whatever other thing. Even if there isn't a racist bone in your body, even if there isn't an active racist actor in the system, there is still a racist outcome that you can measure. And affirmative action is intended to counteract that racist outcome. There is no reason why black people should make up 4% of a college's admissions. No reason for that. So affirmative action set out to correct it. And of course, Steven Crowder's calling that racist because that's what the KKK was saying back in the day.
If you're Asian, if you're black, if you're white, you get the best grades, you get going to college. They have to say, no, but if you're black, but if you're Asian, but not if you're too Asian. If you do too well as an Asian, it can never be consistent because progress for progress' sake has to self-destruct.
I don't even know what that means. That sounds like a platitude. It's just nonsense. Progress for progress's sake self-destructs? What does that mean? Somebody fill me in here in the comments, please. I'm just lost. What does he mean by progress for progress's sake self-destructs? It's complete garbage.
It can never be consistent because progress for progress' sake has to self-destruct.
Are we the only ones seeing these inconsistencies? You want me to believe
No, the KKK sees these as inconsistencies also, for what it's worth. So you're not the only one.
The rest of the country is that stupid?
No.
And if they are, they always shit on Trump supporters.
Yeah.
How about people who support this shit?
Well, you know
what? This poop. What is it, 8 o'clock?
This caca. Shit. I've said it several times.
Spanish for, come on, that's not better.
Yeah. I don't know, is it?
Supporting this feces.
The Romance languages. I don't know where it comes from.
This still Sam.
No, but you know what? It's a good point. And here's sort of a contrast. People on the right expect some kind of truth from their candidates. People on the left, they know that. Do you think any Democrat voters actually buy this? Do you think that they're voting for?
I don't know.
I don't think Democrat voters want it.
Steve,
I think this is
I don't know. I really don't. I mean, the younger kids are so they've been marinating in this crap.
Yeah, but they don't vote.
Marinating in equality. That's what they're saying. Marinating in equality. How wrong is that, huh? I'm sorry. You know who's been marinating in things? These guys have been marinating in KKK talking points. These are literally exact quotes from the KKK in the 1980s. And how do they justify it? Well, who cares? That's how they view it. Who cares? I just, I'll say what I want. I'll believe what I want. I'll think what I want. I don't like black people. And I don't want black people in my colleges, so I'm going to stand against affirmative action. Who gives a shit? That seems to be their position.
In mass.
They don't vote enough.
People do, right? So when they do something like this, they're like, oh, here's what happens. Oh, they must know better than I do. It's social engineering.
Yeah.
Asian hate from the left, so we have to support Asians in just about every single thing they do, unless we talk about black on Asian crime, and then we have to stand out of the way because that's the other minority Olympic game, oppression Olympics that we have to play. And then,
by the way, in minority Olympics, the blacks always win.
They do, yes. It wouldn't
in actual Olympics, I should say. In minority Olympics, the trans win, but in actual Olympics,
oppression Olympics, on the other hand,
it's just better than the black guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so what they're saying here is that black people are physically different than white people. They're saying that they're physically altered. They're physically stronger or faster or whatever. Because, here's their reasoning, because they were bred as slaves to be strong. Seriously. Does it get more depraved than this? The KKK is open now. The KKK is out and about and open with their beliefs at this point. There was a time in U.S. history when the KKK had to hide because they were so disliked. There was a point in U.S. history, 100, 200 years ago when the KKK ran towns. Eventually, younger generations saw how absolutely grotesque and evil the KKK was and the things that they did, and they pushed them out of positions of power, disgusted with what they do. And in response, the KKK decided to integrate themselves into the Republican Party. The Republican Party of today is the KKK of yesterday. They no longer have to hide their talking points. I'm honestly surprised that KKK membership has not gone up dramatically in recent years. Hell, maybe it did, and I haven't seen the numbers. This is exactly what the KKK believes and what they want people to hear, what we're listening to right now.
Unless it's World's Strongest Man, then it's Iceland. Go ahead.
But then they do the school thing and they go, oh, well, they must know best. Of course, we don't want just Asians to go to this. We need diversity, not diversity of thought, diversity of skin color.
No, we need a roughly representative number of people in this school, representative of society. If there are 14% black people in society, or even in this town, we should have 14% black people in the college. That's the idea.